What's good, YouTube? Boy Flash Speaks back, man. Just checking in. Whew. Was catching up with this LA Sparks and Connecticut Sun game, and man, listen, LA Sparks is becoming one of my favorite little pastimes right about now, man. They are just balling. You know what I mean? It was a rough start for them beginning of the year, and then quarter of the way through it was really rough. I mean, they lost twice to like the Chicago Sky. You know what I mean? All types of teams. You know what I mean? But right now, they really hitting their stride, man. The coach has them focusing a lot more on defense, along with Kelsey Plum kind of figuring out how she's going to really be utilized here. You know what I mean? They had her on ball a whole lot at the beginning of the season. Whereas now she's a little bit more off ball. She still has some point guard duties, but she's primarily off ball. They brought in this player Julie Allemand, who really got some game, man. She's really been impressing me during this little stretch on both sides, really. You know, gives a little effort on defense, makes good decisions on offense. Just a good sound player. And then you got really the emergence, man, of Rickea Jackson, man, right now. She's like, so the tale of this particular game was Connecticut was putting up a good fight pretty much all the way through, but yeah, I mean they kind of limited in terms of like their talent. They do got some players though. Marina Mabry, who pretty much was bad that first half. She started to heat up a little bit towards the end of the game. Tried to help make a little comeback towards the end, but it wasn't enough. They have another girl, number 47, who I would love. Not number 47, number 14, who I would love to see on the Sky or any team I go for. She plays pretty good defense. She can shoot the heck out of the ball. Um, has a pretty good game. And of course, they got Tina Charles, the legend, Hall of Famer. They got talent. Uh, but Mabry was really off that first half. Tina Charles was not very aggressive. Most of the scoring was coming from number 14. I'm sorry, y'all, not having the names in front of me. Let me go ahead and pull this up so that way, I ain't just talking, right? So yeah, there's a couple players, man, that were balling for them. Bria Hartley, that's the one. Bria Hartley, very impressed with that player, man. I would try to wrestle her from that team if I could. If I'm Chicago, that's the type of player they really need. She's listed as a guard, but she looks like she could play a 3 too. Honestly. Um, Tina Charles did her thing, 19-7. Maybe ended up with 19, but like I said, at the beginning of that game, she really wasn't doing much. The start of the first half of the game was Rickea Jackson, without a doubt, 17 points, and she was just doing what she do, making a real different shots, threes. She kind of kept them afloat, her and Hamby, there in that first half. Um, Kelsey Plum kind of got it going later. What happened was Rickea Jackson got in foul trouble. She had about like what, 4 fouls. I know at least early in the third quarter she's up to four. And once she sat down after the fourth foul. When she came in, she kind of cooled off. She wasn't as prolific as she was prior to that. So that's kind of like why. But she gave me 20. For the game. I think her last shot was maybe like a 3 pointer in the third quarter, something like that. And then a good portion of the game she sat, and then. But what's happening with her, and what I'm really impressed with is she's really making a more of a concerted effort, to focus on defense. Because make no mistake, I mean, you hear people saying like Rickea can't guard, but that's it's more with someone like her. It's more of an issue of not caring about playing defense more than having the ability. She's athletic. She's long. She's fast, quick. All of the things that you need to be a good defender, and she put that on display in this particular game. At times, she had to guard some players that are not the easiest guards like Sanaya Rivers, for example. She had to guard um, uh, Hartley, players like that. And shout out to Sanaya Rivers, by the way, too, because she did one of the best jobs I've seen anyone put on Kelsey Plum tonight. Kelsey Plum was struggling in the beginning of the game. She eventually got going because players like that they're gonna get going if they really have to. Plum was really more of the closer this particular night. But Sanaya Rivers, man, she got a good future ahead of her, especially if she's going to keep playing that type of defense. The other player got to talk about who has arrived, and I see right now, you know, why she was the number two overall pick last season, and that's of course without Cameron Brink, who is changing life um, for the Sparks. We're just adding. I mean, they started to play better anyway, but with her, you see that added dimension of rim protection, and she can also stretch the floor, hit two threes last night in this game. Um, Look, the, with her and Azare Stevens, I mean, is there a better five situation in the league? You know, if you're talking about from starter to backup in depth, um, I don't know, man. Maybe John Quell and Sabali, maybe, but give me Brink. Give me John Quell over all of them, but Cam Brink versus Sabali, give me Cam Brink all day. She she's going to be special. She's going to be special. She already looks special. Like, there's certain players that you look at, you can tell they're generational because they just look different when they're out there. When Cam is out there, Cam Brink is out there, you gotta, your eyes are drawn to her, right? When we say generational, that's part of it. You know what I mean? Tall, long, gets around, moves in the end relatively fast. I've seen her chase down blocks, um, all types of stuff, you know. And then also she has a bit of a bag in the post. She stretches the floor, as I think I just mentioned already. Um, Man, that's going to make the Sparks very formidable. All right, versus Connecticut, who I think, man, they just made that trade for Aaliyah Edwards, who didn't play in this particular game. I don't even know if she's there yet. So there's no rush to play her. I get that. Um, but you got Anissa Morrow, who had a decent game. Well, I mean, she didn't score as much, but she had 7 rebounds. That's what she does. Struggled a little bit from the floor, tonight, but you can still see it there for Morrow. You can see it. You can see the talent and why they picked her. You know, she probably won't become more of a centerpiece of the offense probably until Tina Charles leaves. Tina Charles, who by the way, I really wish was targeted by the Aces. If you look at the Aces this year, and this is straight up, I feel like the Aces would be back in contention had they kept Kelsey Plum and had they just added Tina Charles. Should have went after her. Forget these moves they made. Alyssa Smith for what? You know, they had just added Tina Charles and kept the team the way it was. I think it would have been different. You know, but that's just me. Maybe Kelsey Plum, I've heard, wanted to leave anyway, so that's neither here nor there, right? It is what it is. But that's just a long discussion I had with some of my brothers who kind of blame Kelsey Plum for all the problems that they had, which is crazy to me. But what other game did we have? Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. hmm We had um, the Phoenix Mercury in revenge mode. Okay, because like I believe it was just last week or whatever they had lost to the Fever, and they came out there. This would have been the most predictable game of the night. The situation where you got the Phoenix Mercury, who are the better team, to the Indiana Fever. in with all the stuff that was going on with DeWanna Bonner leaving that team and Sophie Cunningham opening her mouth on her, you know, Sophie the user Cunningham opening her mouth on her little podcast and all of that kind of stuff. You already knew what this was going to be. This was going to be drama, and more than likely, what it would be an ass whooping on the part of the Mercury towards the Fever. There was like no way. If you were a betting man, there was no way the Mercury were going to lose this particular game. No, that just wasn't going to happen. The Mercury they've been in a recent slump. Clarkies want to believe that DeWanna Bonner is the reason they're losing, or they're happy that they're losing because DeWanna Bonner is there or whatever. Um, and yeah, it didn't go that way at all. So what we had was a 35-point blowout. Right, get these bums up off the floor type of performance on the part of the Mercury. All right, led by, of course, my MVP, Alyssa Thomas, with a triple double. This is her third straight triple double, okay, which definitely has never been done, okay. 18 points, 10 assists, 11 rebounds. Satu Sabali decided to show up, decided she wanted to play today, added 15. Kalia Copper was the one who kind of struggled a little bit, but 11 points, in the double digits. Part of what we need to see is these three have a great game at the same time, but it's fine on a blowout. But this night was really about DeWanna Bonner. You could tell there was a concerted effort to let her get at this team, and I'm glad they were able to get that done. Beat them, but also send a message, right? And let her send a message. Oh no, I ain't no bum. I shouldn't be backing up no Sofa Cunningham or no Lexi Hall, okay? Who I do like Lexi. It's Sophie that. So that's what she went to show. That's what she showed. Wickham, who I like as well, added 8 points. Right, it was just an all around ass whipping, led by the beast of Camp Hill, PA, Alyssa Thomas, with that triple double. The Fever, on the other hand, another game without Caitlin Clark. Have no idea when she's supposed to come back. I'm of the feeling it would not have made a difference in this particular game. This was one of those buzzsaw games. If you just follow games and trends, and especially if you're a better and you understand how it goes, just certain games are just going to be a wash. You could look at this one on the calendar and call this a scheduled loss. Honestly, there was no way they were going to beat them in this particular game. But in a way, I have to respect Sophie the user Cunningham, in this particular game because she came through with 18. She opened her mouth, talked the most shit, and she came through. Kelsey Mitchell was horrible in this game. 12 points. Just one of them games where nothing was falling, all that kind of stuff. Leah Boston was absolutely horrid. All right, with 4 points. She added 9 rebounds. Okay. But, they were just blown off the floor. Just one of them games. Sometimes it happens. Again, Natasha Howard was horrid, 7 points. Erin McDonald was also pretty atrocious with 4. All right, so it was just one of them. It was just one of them nights where Sophie Cunningham was probably the only one locked in because this is against her former team. She was talking all that shit, and chickens were coming home to roost, right, at this time. And but she, she did enough to say, "Hey, look, it's not my fault we lost. I did my part, okay? Okay, Caitlin, you see, I did my part. Okay, you can count on me, Caitlin. Because that's all she's out here for to do anyway, right? So you got that going on. But like I said, the story of this game was Phoenix Mercury came out there to let it be known to the world, this your king right here? These your kings? All right, get these bums the F up out of Phoenix. All right, that's what this was about, And not very entertaining. I mean, it was entertaining for those who like to see the Fever lose, so I loved it, But overall, the Fever didn't provide much of a match. So that's pretty much the games I've seen. I believe the Aces played as well. I got to get caught up on that because I missed a lot of these games because last night, No, the Aces play tonight, right? Let me see something. I missed a lot of these games because the Aces they played the Valkyries, but that was Wednesday, right? So I missed a lot of these games because the Philadelphia Eagles had played their first preseason game last night. So I had to catch parts of that, not the whole thing because preseason is horrible, but I wanted to catch some of the plays of some of our new defensive players and stuff like that. The rookies, see how they doing. They're all doing pretty well. I'm disappointed in some of the members of my secondary, but outside of that, man, I'll talk about that when I deal with the Eagles. So, man, what the hell are you got going on around here, boy? Living in the hood, man. So, that's what I got on that, man. I'll get with you folks later. Peace out.